Welcome back to the King YouTube channel, everyone. I'm thrilled to have you here. We have plenty to discuss today, and I'm eager to dive right in. In this segment, we'll explore a fascinating discussion we had during the live session regarding the near catastrophic car chase. And no, I'm not referring to my personal favorite car incident involving them, though I could easily digress. Um, there's new information about Harry, and well, Harry being Harry, it's worth delving into. Alongside that, we'll touch on what a disappointment the Polo event turned out to be. But before we get into all of that, let's start with some humor. I had a spark of inspiration that led to a hilariously reimagined take on their Christmas cards. And no, it's not the Jamie version that you've seen. These are brand new ones. So um, get ready for a good laugh. Let's dive into it, shall we? Thanks for being here, everyone. Now, I'm about to show you something, and trust me, you're going to have a good laugh. Are you ready? I certainly am. Let me take this down so I can show you what I mean. So, as we all know, we're about to get into Harry and Meghan's latest escapades. But first, let's start with something hilarious. You're probably familiar with their infamous Christmas card. Yes, the one that's definitely not photoshopped, right? Of course, I'm being completely sarcastic here. The absurdity of it is just too much, and I can't stop laughing about it. Since I couldn't get this card out of my mind, I decided to make my own version. And no, it's definitely not photoshopped either. Honestly, I wasn't exaggerating when I said I couldn't stop laughing while working on it. If you've seen today's video, you'll know exactly what I mean. I received at least 5, maybe even 7 comments asking, they genuinely believed it was real. And I was absolutely floored. I mean, I created that in less than a minute, about 60 seconds on my phone to be exact. Um, I couldn't stop laughing while making it. And yet, some people took it completely seriously. They thought this was an actual photo of Jamie and me. Honestly, I was like, are you kidding me? Anyway, that's just one of the cards, but I have more to share. I've been having so much fun creating these. Lulu's mom, are you surprised? Don't worry. This card is 100% real and totally authentic. Of course, I am joking. I can't stop laughing over this. Honestly, I had such a blast being sarcastic when I shared that card. The funniest part, some people actually thought it was real. I had to clarify, no, it's not real. But wait, I do have some other real cards to show you. Are you ready? They're totally real. Here we go. First up, we've got Mary Milkis. It's me with Greg Davies. Yes, this is absolutely real. Just kidding, of course. This is from when Greg and I were hanging out on the set of Taskmaster. Don't ask what he's doing with the milk, and definitely don't ask what I did with it. Let's just call it festive creativity. So here's my card featuring Greg. Merry Milkis, everyone. And honestly, isn't this more realistic and festive than whatever those two schmucks came up with? Oh, and for context, Greg's 6'8", so it looks like I'm practically in his armpit. What a scene. It's probably because I'm 6'4" that this looks so accurate. I mean, I'd likely be just a bit shorter than this on him, but yes, pretty close to his armpit. And here I am, shielding myself from the milk spray. What a moment. Anyway, Merry Milkus, everyone. Would you like to see more of my cards? This one's totally real, by the way. I'm genuinely so excited about my collaboration with Greg on Taskmaster. I can't wait for you to watch me over there. Obviously, I'm joking, but wouldn't that be great? Hi, Jackie Swan. Thanks for joining us. Hi, TC. All right, let's keep the fun going because I've got another card ready for you. How about that time I got together with the lovely Catherine? I knew. Here we go. Catherine Christmas. Look at us having so much fun decorating the tree together. And yes, I know I'm hiding in the tree. Why? Well, that's between me and Catherine. Some things are just meant to remain a mystery. And here we are, lovely Catherine Christmas. Doesn't it just look perfect? We were so happy decorating the tree together. We had hot cocoa, snuggled with the kids afterward. It was absolutely delightful. Oh, and I even gave Prince William a hug. Catherine was completely fine with it. Such a wonderful moment. So, yes, lovely Catherine Christmas. Here's another card that's absolutely 100% realistic. And yes, I'm the angel on the tree. Clearly, I'm just in the wrong position here. But still, that's me. These cards are all very real, of course. Totally. Jamie's going to be jealous, I know. um, but don't tell Jamie. This is from the time I decorated the tree with half my face. It's completely real. Oh, but wait, I've got another one for you. Are you ready? This one's called Happy Hot Equity Christmas. That's right. It's me and Major Johnny, or should I say Colonel Johnny now. Such a festive collaboration, don't you think? Woohoo, what a moment. So here we are. This is me and Colonel Johnny snuggling up, hugging, and glaring at those two idiots in front of us. Happy, hot equity Christmas, everyone. Yet another completely authentic card. Congratulations to me. Oh, and remember, don't tell Jamie. Shh. I had an absolute blast making these. So those are the three masterpieces I created. Honestly, I whipped them up right before the stream. I couldn't stop laughing at myself while putting these together. And I'm so glad I get to share them with you now. Congratulations to me again, because clearly I'm very busy and important these days. Hanging out with Jamie, Greg, Johnny, and Catherine. Just casually keeping up with my star-studded life. All right, let's shift gears a bit. I know some of you are here for the latest Meghan and Harry news. Let's dive into that because there's a lot to discuss. Have you seen this? I just talked to Nancy, my triplet, and I've got some thoughts I'd like to share about it. Let's get started. All right, everyone, let's dive into this because more information is coming out about the, say it with me, near catastrophic car chase. Yes, that's right. Did you know that Prince Harry is now reportedly pressuring the police to launch an investigation into this so-called incident? It's beyond ridiculous. So let's break it down. First, let's address the headline, Suspicious Prince Harry. The quotes around suspicious are interesting, aren't they? Honestly, I agree with the sentiment. He does seem suspicious. And if I'm being blunt, I also believe he's often not entirely sober. There, I said it. He comes across as perpetually angry. And frankly, a bit of a prick. Apologies if that sounds harsh. Now back to the matter at hand, the near catastrophic chase. I'm using giant air quotes here because seriously, it's laughable. I'd also like to remind everyone that they stepped out of the car. Yes, the car that supposedly experienced this wild high stakes chase. But let's continue. What was it called again? Oh, right. Let's revisit this whole situation. So They get out of a car with darkened windows, all for the purpose of hopping into a taxi. Now tell me, does that scream, "We don't wanna be seen" to you? Absolutely not. They clearly wanted to be seen, and they succeeded in getting the attention they craved. Now, here's my opinion, which I must preface with a big allegedly. It's just my personal theory. I truly believe Harry had no idea about this whole fiasco. My guess is that Meghan orchestrated the entire thing, possibly with the help of her mother, Doria. Let's not forget Doria was present. I think those two planned it all and kept Harry out of the loop. Why? Because they needed him to react, to spiral, and to overreact in exactly the way he did. To be clear, it's not that I think Meghan is a brilliant actress, because she's absolutely not. But this whole scenario, it has her fingerprints all over it, in my opinion. Just a theory, of course, but one that feels increasingly plausible the more I think about it. Let's be honest, Harry isn't exactly a great actor either. Um, I think the plan was to set off his paranoia, push him into an over-the-top reaction, and keep him in the dark about the whole setup. That's just my theory, but it seems plausible. Then we see him doing these bizarre things like, taking photos and making dramatic demands. The whole "I demand an investigation, a full report, and whatever else I want" routine. Meanwhile, my response would be, "Well, I demand you stop talking about your family, jackass." If we're throwing demands around, that would be my response. And that's my fear too. Anyway, let's get back to this article. Uh, Thank you so much, Lulu's mom. I really appreciate your support. And yes, exactly. This feels like a manipulation orchestrated by Meghan. That's precisely what it seems like to me as well. I genuinely believe Meghan knows exactly how to push Harry's buttons. We saw it in the Netflix documentary. Well, I'm using the term documentary loosely, of course, because it wasn't really one. But anyway, we saw how she manipulates him. There's that one part where she did this odd accent, which I'm mimicking on purpose. She says, "Is that pap on the scooter again?" And I'm just left thinking, what? The thing is, by saying stuff like that when it was probably just an Uber Eats delivery or an Instacart driver, she knows how to get under his skin. Um, she knows exactly what to say to trigger him, and he falls for it every time. And unfortunately, he's too easily led by her. And it's clear she knows exactly what will rile him up and make him lose control. She loves that reaction, and that's exactly what she wants. Honestly, it's kind of chilling to think about how someone could manipulate another person's psyche like that. And let's be real, there doesn't seem to be much going on upstairs for Harry. This is just my opinion, of course, but he comes across as dim and angry. That's not an excuse for his behavior. It's just how I see him. He seems to have a short fuse, and it doesn't take much to set him off. So if all Meghan has to do is say, "Oh, they're following us," that's enough to make him go absolutely nuts. I honestly think that's exactly what happened here. Then we see him pressuring the police to speed up their investigation, which makes me wonder, how did Meghan manage to convince him to leave the more private and secure car and get into that taxi? That's the part I'm curious about. What did she say to him to make that happen? I guess it's likely that Meghan and Doria worked together on this, especially since it was 2 against 1. Um, I can just imagine Meghan saying something like, "They won't think we're in a taxi," and Harry being a bit dim would probably just go along with it. It's almost too easy to manipulate him in that sense. Um, let's move on. Though we won't read through all of this, I just want to highlight what he's been up to. So, Prince Harry pressured the police to speed up their investigation, claiming there was a cover-up. This is something he seems to do a lot, whether it's with his court cases or other situations. He always seems to think there's some grand conspiracy or cover up against him. But let's be honest, it's not a conspiracy. It's more likely that you're just a bit dim and believe the whole world revolves around you. But according to him, the Duke feels intentionally misled. Honestly, if Harry feels intentionally misled, he should probably start by looking at his wife because she's been misleading him since the very day they met. It's almost as if he lives in this constant state of suspicion, and that's all he knows. One of the security company's messages to the New York Police Department highlights just how deep this suspicion runs. Then Harry demanded, again in his usual prickly manner, that arrests be made the very next day, and even threatened to file an official complaint. You know what? I'd like to file my own official complaint. I am tired of these two going on Oprah, telling 100 million lies, and spreading their stories on Netflix, in books, and on podcasts. Where do I get my official complaint form for that? I've got plenty of official complaints myself, but it seems like no one's listening. Let's continue, though. The demand for arrests came after John Hart, the NYPD's top intelligence officer, sent 2 letters to the police in London. The first letter stated that there wasn't enough evidence to make any arrests. And 3 months later, another letter confirmed that to date, no arrests had been made in connection with the incident. Um, it's almost like they were trying to shut this whole thing down from the beginning, right? I'm reminded of that scene from Kids in the Hall where the guy keeps insisting, "No, I didn't," even though everyone knows he did. All I can think is, "No, I didn't." It's like this situation just total BS. Uh, initially, there was no evidence, and then magically, after the fact, suddenly there was evidence. Yeah. So it appears that no concrete evidence has been found, at least as far as I am aware. To Stephen's point, no arrests seem to have been made either. This raises the question, what evidence do we actually have? Moreover, this took place in New York, a city where traffic is notoriously slow moving, often crawling along at just 2 miles per hour. Under such conditions, what exactly does a near catastrophic car chase even look like? Where were they headed? And why haven't we seen any footage from traffic cameras to support these claims? Consider Prince Harry, who was reportedly filming with his phone during the incident. If such footage existed, wouldn't it have been released by now, particularly to add weight to their case for enhanced security status, IPP? It would certainly have helped their argument. In my opinion, the absence of such evidence casts serious doubt on the entire narrative. Perhaps Meghan has ceased accommodating his every whim, leading to further tension. It sounds like you're sharing your thoughts on a very dynamic and polarizing situation. From what you're saying, there's a general belief among some that Meghan is a calculating individual and might be manipulating Harry to some extent, possibly for her own benefit. You seem to suggest that this dynamic could contribute to Harry's apparent mental state, making him seem more unsettled or erratic over time. You also mentioned a conversation with someone named HG where the idea of narcissism came up. HG clarified that while Harry might display narcissistic traits, as many people do, it doesn't necessarily make him a narcissist. It seems that explanation offered a balanced perspective, acknowledging the nuances of personality traits versus a full-fledged narcissistic personality. Overall, it sounds like you're exploring different perspectives on their behavior and relationships, finding humor in some aspects while complementing the complexities of their public and private personas. Seems like you're expressing frustration with the situation and the individuals involved. From what you've described, Harry reportedly reached out to California Governor Gavin Newsom, seeking a connection to prosecutors in New York. This interaction appears to have struck you as unnecessary, I think you said, from what you've described here. You're critical of how this matter has been handled, suggesting that a press conference involving these figures would only add to the perceived absurdity of the situation. While you've made it clear that you're not addressing the political implications, it's evident that you find the behavior of those involved frustrating and perhaps overly self-imprisoned. Your commentary highlights a sense of exasperation with the way these public figures navigate their influence and actions, which you find, in your words, ridiculous. It seems you're continuing to share your views on the ongoing drama involving Harry and others, particularly around the so-called near catastrophic car chase. You've pointed out how Harry reportedly reacted, demanding arrests and taking the situation very seriously, which you find unnecessary and overblown. You also commented on someone else whom you've referred to as Plastic Man, noting that they've returned to the public eye. It's clear you have a strong dislike for this individual, criticizing their behavior as obnoxious and hypocritical, especially when discussing the integrity of others. Your overall tone conveys frustration and disbelief at the actions and words of these public figures. And you seem to feel that their behavior is self-serving and lacking in substance. It seems you're expressing a strong opinion about Plastic Man and his perceived hypocrisy, particularly regarding comments about others' integrity. Your remark about the Dutch translator suggests some past issue or controversy that you find frustrating or ironic. Moving on to Prince Harry and Meghan, you're enjoying the humor in certain ways they're described, such as Prince Harry and that one, or Prince Harry and Rachel, which you believe might irritate Meghan. You've also noted the apparent lack of success for their Polo project, which didn't manage to rank in Netflix's top 10, and you find this outcome noteworthy or amusing. You've mentioned being on bed rest for about 2.5 weeks, which has limited your activity. It sounds like you're easing back into your routine now, sharing your thoughts and observations as part of that process. Hopefully, your feeling better and getting back to full strength. It sounds like your time on bed rest left you searching for entertainment, though it seems you weren't impressed by what was available, especially anything related to Harry and Meghan. You mentioned that despite your dislike for them, you would have given their content a try purely out of boredom. But the quality apparently fell so short that you couldn't bear to continue watching. Instead, you opted to do nothing, finding even that more tolerable. You find it amusing that their documentary series about Polo, released on December 10th, failed to make Netflix's top 10 in any region, including the UK and the US. You critique the idea of focusing on a sport like polo, which you see as far removed from the average person's experiences, making the project seem out of touch. Your comparison to card highlights your view that both concepts are equally baffling or irrelevant. You also speculate with humor whether Harry will escalate the situation, perhaps by contacting his lawyer or writing to the police, further underlining your skepticism about their actions and priorities. It seems the Netflix series on Polo has faced harsh criticism from both viewers and critics, with dismal ratings reported shortly after its release. Um, Newsweek was among the outlets that highlighted its lack of success, noting its inability to break into any significant markets. What you found particularly interesting is hearing from someone local to the area where polo plays a significant role. Even in that region, where one might expect heightened interest, people apparently remain indifferent to the documentary. This insight adds another layer of humor to your perspective, as it underscores just how little impact the series has had, even in its most relevant context. In closing remark about taking your polo and shoving it up your polo captures your playful tone, reflecting your overall disbelief and amusement at the failure of the project. The reference to Marco Polo adds a touch of lighthearted sarcasm, reinforcing your view that the series missed the mark entirely. You seem to find it amusing that the Netflix Polo series has been largely ignored and view it as a poor decision on Netflix's part to continue investing in Harry and Meghan. Your critique highlights a sense of satisfaction in seeing the lack of interest from audiences. As for the future, you're speculating about whether Netflix will release more projects featuring the couple, such as the rumored cooking show. You're curious if the streaming platform will continue to invest in them or if this might signal the end of their collaboration. Your point about the animal of it all suggests there may be some off-putting or uncomfortable elements in their content that make it difficult to watch, even for those who might be vaguely curious. Overall, you doubt there's much demand for future projects, reflecting your skepticism about their appeal to wider audiences. It sounds like you're continuing to question the purpose and audience for the Polo documentary. You point out that even diehard polo enthusiasts likely wouldn't enjoy it, as it spends time explaining the basics of the game, something they'd already know. This leads you to wonder who exactly the content is meant to appeal to, suggesting it might only be relevant to a very small group of fans, or perhaps not even that. As for the rumored cooking show, it seems many people believe it's unlikely to materialize. You note that if it does, it might prominently feature Meghan, while Harry's involvement could be minimal. Your skepticism about their hands-on involvement is clear, as you don't seem convinced they'd be authentically engaged in the process. Mm. Mm. You add a playful jab about Meghan potentially wearing what you describe as a boobs East and West dress while cooking, which underscores your lighthearted but critical view of their public image and presentation.